we've done a decent amount of talking about the upcoming D23 event with the whole award that they're going to be giving out, but it's coming up like literally this weekend. And so I think we'd be apt to give our predictions of what we think is going to happen, especially with all the rumors circulating. But we'd be remiss to not at least address, they're probably going to come out with some sort of Black Panther 2 trailer.
Do it! Just do it!
Would you agree?
What is this, September, October, November? Yeah. The second trailer is actually due here soon anyway, so I'd say so, probably.
Okay.
Probably. I don't know what else is to be revealed, because you know they usually start giving away more of the plot for some reason or another in these
in the second trailers.
In the second trailer, so I don't know what could possibly be added to it to change anything about what we already know about the film.
Was there a lot of Namor in the first one? Was there a lot of...
They showed him being born. They showed a picture of his back.
I
there
guess
were
they
a few
can
scenes
expound
of
a
him.
little bit more on Namor, and then obviously, I don't think they mentioned pretty much anything about Ironheart.
We saw her dapping up Shuri in Wakanda.
Yeah.
However that ends up happening. She looks smaller in this movie than she did in the Black Messiah. Like, when I seen her, and I watched that movie again this weekend, and I seen her, Dominique Thorne. And she's a smaller girl. She's of smaller stature. But, like, that quick dap up by her, and she's smaller than Shuri. And we already know that shout out to Kaisuko, she's mad frail. Letitia Wright is mad frail.
Shuri can't fight. And the actress playing her, no offense, is wild frail.
So, like, for Dominic Thorne to be, like, underneath her, like... Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I don't know what they did to make her, if they did made her look even smaller than what she looked. I don't know. It just kind of, it took me back comparing. I was like, damn, like, she's a small woman, but she was kind of, like, strong looking. She looks like a toddler compared to Shuri in the trailer.
For sure.
Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna get narratively. Or not narratively. I don't know what we're gonna get to affect what's happening for the narrative of the movie right now. I don't know if there's gonna be anything different. I don't even know if I want to watch it. Well, I guess I can. I can watch all of them if I'm not going to the movie theater to see it. So
you're literally not supporting it.
I'm gonna have to watch. I'm going to wait for it to come out on streaming, anyways. Yeah. Might as well. So yeah, the Black Panther 2 trailer or 2, the second trailer.
Obviously, a lot of people are excited to hear about what's going to go on with the Fantastic Four. Maybe we do end up.
That is something
John
that we will
Krasinski.
get. Yeah, we will get an announcement to who the official, Fantastic Four roster is. There's even rumors about Ben Grimm popping up in She-Hulk. So, we'll see. But that's the one big reveal that I do expect to come is the announcement for the Fantastic Four. Now, if it's not Emily Blunt and John Krasinski, I just would really not like to see any race swaps in this. Which, the more I think about it, I don't think they will. Because they need... The one thing that the MCU is missing right now more than anything is leaders, stars. So this Fantastic Four, the first family, they got to get it right, because whatever you do here is going to last throughout the MCU. And I don't think they want to gamble that much on a virtue signal. Like, they don't believe in that shit as much as they think you think they do. I would expect this next phase to be a much more serious tone. It'll still have its MCU feel, but it will be much closer to the first phase of MCU, Avengers, all the origin stories, than what it's been to like Taika Waititi's version of MCU. People just they're not in love with it. They don't like that. There are some people that can connect to it, and I do think it does, or at least it did a job of bringing in the general fan. The problem now is that the general fan also listens to the general reviews, Rotten Tomatoes, whatever the review sites are saying. That is what the general fan is basing success versus non-success off of.
Yeah.
It's your blessing and your curse. You are creating a crowd that is ultra susceptible to review bombing.
Mm-hmm.
They are. You've created sheep. You're just not the only one leading them anymore. And so you've created this crowd of people who doesn't, this segment on the fandom that doesn't care about canon. They don't care about source material. They don't care about original characters. They just care about seeing their various social issues represented on screen. Where that is going to backfire is that those same people are the same people that are not going to go see a movie because it has a negative Rotten Tomato score. Because the majority of people are ragging on it on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
That's the crowd that you've been feeding, and now you have to find a way to win them back over. So I don't expect to see the same social tones being forced down our throats in the coming phases. So if that's the case, and we're getting back to what it was in the first place, which is just star-driven, blockbuster hits, then you need somebody to drive that. If it's not going to be Tony Stark and Captain America, then it'll probably end up being the first family of Marvel, which is Fantastic Four. Mm-hmm. I don't think that they risk all of that on making Johnny Storm a black guy. I just don't. I don't see it. A lot of people have made a lot of noise about the fact that Kang is black, so that his descendant, which is Reed Richards, should in turn be black. I would first of all, genetics wasn't my best forte in high school, or science in general wasn't my best forte, but maybe just kind of look into that and see, in terms of 1,000-year lineage, how many different racial swings you could take.
You really don't even have to go that far.
You don't even have to go that far, right?
If a black person has a kid with a white person, and that person has a kid with another white person, that last kid is going to
look at
Drake's baby.
Yes, but no. Look at Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
his children are white.
Yeah,
effectively. I mean, they are a percentage black DNA wise, but effectively those children are white now. Mm-hmm. And that just kind of is what it is. So it's okay if Reed Richards is a white man. Not to mention that the Kang the Conqueror Kang, right? The man Kang might end up being black, and his origin we'll see in Quantumania. But the actual character of Kang is not of a definitive race. He's more of just an omnipresent being when he's wrecking shit, when he's Kang the Conqueror, when he's the time traveler. So I just don't think that that's going to have a whole lot of weight into who it is. Now, if they make Reed Richards black, that will be
they're going to get a lot of backlash.
I don't know.
Not even him just being black, because everybody wants John Krasinski to be Reed Richards. So I think if they cast anybody, they're going to get backlash. But then, especially if they make him black.
the person that makes the most sense for me is either Johnny Storm or Thing, which would upset me a couple different ways, right? If he ends up being Ben Grimm, he spends the majority. It's a black character that ends up spending the majority of his time not being seen as a black character, mm-hmm. right? Because he's just a orange rock monster thing. If he's Johnny Storm, we've kind of already seen how that plays with a guy that y'all can't stop asking to be put back into the MCU, right? Even some rumors about him re-signing for multiple projects. We'll talk about that in a second. That could potentially be something that we see in the Black Panther, but I don't think that they would want to spoil that in the trailer. But then again, they spoil a lot of shit, so we'll see. You loved him as Killmonger, but he clearly did not work as Human Torch. Why would we try that formula again? I don't know. I don't think that's the way that they're going to go. We want to see more black faces on screen. There are hundreds of characters that we can use to do that. how does it behoove black representation on screen by putting him in a spot that is traditionally donned by a white man and will one day be donned by another white man? It's just another feather in the cap of a traditionally white character. If we lose original black characters in lieu for race swaps, that is a loss for us, because those positions are not permanent. They do not get made permanent. Samuel L. Jackson is the strongest case with Nick Fury. Mm-hmm. And even that has been only isolated to films and a few animation appearances. But even in that, there's parody. There's still the white Nick Fury that pops up in various cartoons. He's still running around in the comics. So it's not lasting. It's not meaningful. Doesn't do anything other than give another variation for a character that will always be seen as a white character.
So, kind of alongside with that, because that is essentially a casting rumor, there's been a bunch of names thrown out there of people that may join the MCU, because apparently some of these actors may also join the stage at D23. Giancarlo Esposito, who we've already mentioned, he really wants to play Professor X. I've seen rumors that Denzel Washington may even join the MCU.
Some of these are far-fetched for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Denzel, I never really thought that he would do a MCU movie until Equalizer 2. And then at that point, I thought that there was a chance. Right? I don't think that there was a one and done character big enough to make it satisfying for him to play. But then again, he would never do sequels. And so if it wasn't going to be some big overlapping one and done type character, then it would have to be a character that's reoccurring. But then Denzel never does sequels until Equalizer 2. So that opens up the door a bit. I don't think he's going to be up to play a role that you'll need somebody to play for years to come. I don't see Magneto. That is a cornerstone character that's going to be propagated over multiple properties, right? I don't think that's what he's signing up for in his 70s.
It's a lot of work,
or headed towards his 70s.
Yeah,
I don't think that's what he's signing up for. I could see something like maybe even something like a villain like a Doctor Doom. That is a villain that has to go on through the phases, right? That he's gonna show up in multiple things. I don't see that one. John Boyega is another one that stands out to me as a iffy mention, because we just recently saw him talking about a conversation he had with Daniel Kaluuya about who to work with in Hollywood, essentially, in which Daniel Kaluuya, paraphrasing here, but pretty much told him to mess with people that mess with him.
Which works, because obviously he didn't end up in Black Panther 2
in lieu to work with Jordan Peele on Nope, right? And so a lot of speculation in that as to what he really meant and things of that nature. But I mean, if we're just taking it at face value, Daniel Kaluuya no longer works. Well, he's not currently working for Disney. And he chose to work with a black creative that is known for making unapologetically black content. And so if the message is to John Boyega, mess with people that mess with you, I wouldn't think that means leaves the Star Wars studio and go mess with Marvel under the same umbrella, you know?
Yeah.
That's just kind of my common sense deductive reasoning there. If you're John Boyega and you were upset by how you were portrayed as Finn, are you that ready to sign right back up with Disney just under another studio, another superhero studio, who hasn't proven to you, by the way, who has not proven to you that they're any different in terms of how they're going to represent a black titular character? They have not proven that to you. Sorry, Sam Wilson, but that is not proof that Marvel wants to put a franchise behind a black face, be that female or male. They have not proven it. They have one movie, and they've completely flipped the tenor of that movie on its head for its sequel. So no, they have not proven that they are willing to put the full brunt of their force behind a black face. They haven't done it with Monica Rambeau. We will see what it amounts with in Captain America New World Order. We will see. Because if Steve Rogers ends up playing a role in that movie, there's no way that you can tell me that they were confident in Anthony Mackie carrying that film. Mm-hmm. We shall see.
There's some people who are saying that John Boyega could become possibly Blue Marvel, and that obviously Denzel, if he is going to show up, could also be an option for Blue Marvel, as well as obviously Magneto.
I'd rather not. I could see if they go with the original origin story of Blue Marvel, you know, first ever superhero in America, right? They do the JFK original storyline, then I could see Denzel, because it's going to be more of a period piece. But I don't see how they work that into, you know, the Marvels or anything like. And then again, we're still talking about at that point it would become more of a one-shot character, because Denzel's not going to be popping up in a movie with Brie Larson and Tiana. What is her name?
That would be absolutely
like crazy. He's just not doing that on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see them working a Blue Marvel's origin story using Denzel Washington into the MCU somehow as kind of like a period piece. It's just where does he do that and how?
And why bring him into the MCU if you're not going to use him?
If you're not going to use him more than that.
Yeah.
Who else? We saw the chick from The Last Duel on there too, her name. And I'm not trying to go Martin Scorsese here, but she's a very serious actor. Like, she's a very serious actor. Like, she does those damn near indie type films with large scale Hollywood budgets. Mm-hmm. She's not really into the bubblegum content, and that's kind of what the MCU has turned into in Phase 4. I think something like this would have intrigued her a lot more pre-Endgame. But now you got to think about the direction the content has taken since Endgame. It has become very a little hokey.
Yeah.
Right? It is they've taken something that they were already making an unholy amount of money on and tried to find a way to bring in even more of an audience. It's like the audience that they had set wasn't enough.
Yeah.
They're constantly doing the growth game, which, okay, to a certain degree, fine. But what you end up doing is alienating the original base that you built. Right? You end up telling that core group of fandom that you built the MCU off of, yeah, you guys got your first 3 phases. This one's for all the newbies. Mm-hmm. Which, I don't know. I think it's proved to be a little bit problematic because it's been a dumbing down of the content. A little bit. There's been a dumbing down of the content.
Especially in cases like Thor.
Yeah, the plots usually are not very strong, which was a thing for comic book movies in general, right? You were never going to get fully believable scripts out of comic book content. But it has seemed to even take a more precipitous drop in Phase 4. So with that being said, that is just not the type of films. Like, if she's going to be making those type of films, she'd already be doing it. Mm-hmm. You know, she'd already be in a Taika Waititi film that's not in the MCU. She'd already be in a film with Kevin Bacon or Rob Schneider or some shit. If that's the type of movies that she was trying to make.
It wouldn't seem super just random.
Yeah.
For her and her career trajectory. Henry Cavill.
I could see Henry Cavill. I could absolutely see Henry Cavill because he's not getting his bread buttered over there at DC. And there's a lot of potential for Henry Cavill. Cyclops, Captain Britain.
That's what I was thinking.
There's a lot of potential with Henry Cavill. Even a character, if they choose to go a route, maybe doing something like Hyperion or Century. I could easily see, Henry Cavill playing one of those characters. Wonder Man, is something that you could do with a Henry Cavill. Hercules, even though they kind of fucked up already with Hercules. A lot of potential there. A lot of potential with Henry Cavill, so I can absolutely see him being announced and being some MCU project for sure. So if I had to predict who ended up making it off of that list, I'd say Giancarlo. They seem to be pretty dead set on him.
Yeah.
It just depends on who he ends up being.
Mm-hmm.
my hopes are on Doctor Doom instead of Professor Xavier or Norman Osborn. I could see Norman Osborn easily. I actually had a theory that Norman Osborn was going to be Ned's uncle and Ned was going to turn into Hobgoblin. But that didn't end up happening. They did the weird Doctor Strange thing. So.
Yeah.
But in any case, Giancarlo, Henry Cavill.
John Boyega? No.
I don't believe it.
Krasinski?
Like, if you had those type of problems with Star Wars under Disney umbrella, then why would you even take the chance of fucking with something like that again? That's just kind of similar into the way it's ran. You know, it's the same company. So I don't believe John Boyega, but Henry Cavill I can absolutely see.
Krasinski.
Giancarlo I can actually see. John Krasinski. Would you, okay, given what we're seeing out of Tom Brady and his extramarital problems that he's having right now, if you're John Krasinski and your wife tells Marvel, no, I don't want to be Sue Storm, do you take the job to be Reed Richards with another woman? Not that they'd have a problem with it in terms of his employment and him being an actor. They obviously know it's just a job. But if she turns down being Sue Storm, is that enough to make you turn down being Reed Richards?
I guess that depends on whether or not he values his career more than his wife.
Again, that story saga is going to they're going to do laps around what we're going to get in terms of T'Challa and any potential love interest he has in the MCU with Reed Richards and Sue Storm, because again, that is the projection of the white nuclear family. That is literally the personification of the white nuclear family in Marvel is the Fantastic Four. Mm-hmm. So that love story is going to be something epic, or at least they're going to try to make it so. That relationship will be stronger than any MCU relationship you've seen thus far. Mm-hmm. So that means a lot of time together, a lot of time on screen, a lot of films. You know, I think that they thought going into this that they could get Emily Blunt and John Krasinski together so they can actually have that family chemistry on screen.
Yeah.
Does he take that on if it's not his wife on the other side of it?
That's tough, because then also there's the rumors of Penn Badgley from You also playing Reed Richards.
He's a very boring actor to me. He's just a very blah actor. He's one of those guys who I don't know. I don't enjoy him very much. I hope it's not him. I like John Krasinski. I just don't know if he comes along if Emily Blunt didn't decide to also be Sue Storm. I thought that would be a deciding factor to help him come along, but since she turned it down, it became less and less likely to me that John Krasinski would actually be Mr. Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's a little tough. So I don't know. I want to say he's still along for the ride, but I don't know. It's interesting.
I wonder if we're going to hear anything else on Blade.
I guess we have to. They announced that it's part of the plan of, you know, their phases. Their phases,
what are we doing with it though? Give me a synopsis. What's actually happening? Because I'm very skeptical about what happens with that movie. Also, Quantumania, the Marvels, all, you know, anticipated movies coming out there in 2023. Do we get teasers for either one of those? I feel like we were a little late on Black Panther, getting the first one in July, and then the first Thor: Love and Thunder trailer we saw was way back in the spring of 2022. So we definitely could be getting some footage from the Marvels and Quantumania,
wasn't it? The next one is Ant-Man.
Yeah, Quantumania. Yep.
Yeah. So
let's see how those new characters are being centered and
I feel like
being,
you want as much hype
pushed
around that as you can get. So being that Kang the Conqueror is the big bad of that movie.
Yeah.
So they've got to give us probably something on that note.
We'll see what Monica Rambeau's role is in the Marvels. Obviously, Kamala Khan's going to play a big role in that. Potentially a Blue Marvel sighting. We don't know. I would hate for Monica Rambeau's first appearance on screen to be so drowned out because now we're just piling everyone into the movie. Because she hasn't really had an origin yet. If WandaVision is her origin story, then that character will forever be sorely lacking. And I just hope that they don't do that to her. Wanda made a hex, I ran through it and got my powers. The end. I hope that's not it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else am I expecting to see or wanting to see? I know nothing X-Men related is coming. I expect this to be very Fantastic Four driven.
Doom is actually going to be an extra credit scene on the end of Black Panther, do you think they'll announce the actual casting for Doom?
For Doom? That's a good point. I mean, I feel like they know the leaks are out already. That's probably a reason for, some of the reshoots. At that point, if they've already accepted the information being in the zeitgeist, then yeah, go ahead and announce them. And I guess I'm on the side of wanting them to announce them because I want it to be Giancarlo Esposito.
That would be a really good.
That would be a good one. And again, it doesn't. The whole Latvarian thing doesn't really affect the race of the character, because can you not be a black Latvarian? And then also it's going to be yet another character that, yes, we know that he's white effectively in the comic books. But the fact that he will it's kind of how like Kang is, the way that he's presented as a character is not in a humanoid form all the time. Right? Like Dr. Doom is a character that has metal all over his body the majority of the time that you see him. So it's not. Does it do anything necessarily for elevating black characters? Not much. But at the same time, it doesn't come with the negative connotation of having the only black character being a traditionally white character the same way it would with, let's say, we got an X-Men lineup with Charles Xavier, Jean Grey, Scott Summers, Wolverine, Beast, Aurora Monroe, and Rogue. But Professor X is black. In that instance, instead of making one of the X-Men a black character, like there hasn't ever been a black X-Men, we just made Professor X black. You know, that would be the difference to me. Mm-hmm. Where there was an opportunity, because there really isn't an opportunity within Latvarian lore or anything having to do other than the fact that his connections to T'Challa and Wakanda to introduce a black character. Yeah. At least on Doom's side of it. Mm-hmm. There's and you're also not ignoring a black canon character on that side of it by doing that. But if you race swap Professor X for the purpose of diversity on that side, you are quite literally ignoring what the opportunity was there, and that's to introduce a originally black X-Men character, and there are plenty. So that's what I'm hoping. It seems that a lot of people are excited about the potential of him being Professor X, and that may be where it leads us. But either way, I think him and Henry Cavill are the most likely of those rumored to actually be coming over.
Gotcha. Any other thoughts about anything possibly coming up in D23?
That's it for me, man. Give us your thoughts. What do you predict to happen at this week's Disney 23 Expo there? Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and come back next week for more content.
And make sure you check out our recap of SDCC, San Diego Comic-Con, this past year. And make sure you subscribe for more, because we like to talk about as much Marvel news and entertainment news as we can.